Tales of the Caballos by William H. White. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Thank you. Part 3, Chapter 4, John Roman. John Roman was a quiet and unassuming man. He spent most of his adult life until he retired in the community of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. John worked at a local grocery store as a checker for over 20 years, retiring in 1977. John Roman had a secret. It all began when he acquired 7 Jesuit maps. How John came about the maps is not known, but one in particular was given to a woman named Annie M., a local woman who had some actual talent in map dowsing. This story is actually Annie's story because her account of John Roman is the basis of this story. In 1976, while John was employed by the grocery store, he came to Annie with the map and asked her to help him locate an entrance into the mountain. This she gladly did for John, but she would not know the outcome of her efforts until several years later. Several years later, it came to a surprise to Annie while she was visiting one of her friends in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The doorbell rang and John Roman was standing on the front porch. As soon as John recognized Annie, he excused himself and quickly left the area. This piqued Annie's interest, and she quickly inquired as to why John Roman would be in Las Cruces in the first place. The answer was simple. John was selling his gold bars to their mutual friend. Upon her return to Truth or Consequences, she looked up John Roman and he slowly began to confide in her. Annie's dowsing had been extremely accurate, and John had indeed located an entrance into the mountain. On the 4th level of limestone, promontorially at the extreme remote location on the Caballo Mountains, John found a circular flat area. In the middle of the flat area was an egg-shaped flat rock. Upon removal of this rock, a small vertical shaft descended into the mountain, into a room about 15 feet down. From this point on, there were stairways descending into the heart of the mountain. John Roman did very little exploring because he was mainly interested in the gold. He soon found a room filled with 90-pound gold bars, and this was what he focused on. John was not a strong man, and he was in his 60s when he made this discovery. He found that by cutting the bars in half, he could carry them out 1/2 at a time. We know he took out at least 12 90-pound bars, and more than likely, many more. John Roman retired in 1982 and quietly moved his family back to Pennsylvania. In 1996, John passed on, leaving a note to his wife to look in the garden. She must have known something about his secret because she soon unearthed 24 45-pound gold bars. At this time, she contacted her family members and also Annie M. According to Annie, John Roman's son came to the Caballo Mountains and spent about 1 year looking for the Jesuit entrance to no avail. Annie M. still had records of her map dowsing session with John Roman, and she showed me the location she had dowsed for John so long ago. Annie also showed me a copy of some strange symbols that John Roman had copied off a strange object he came across while inside the mountain. The most interesting thing about these symbols is that they match the symbols of yet another object found underground in Illinois. Could these two be the same origin? NASA believes so and is keenly interested in knowing more about these strange craft. Unfortunately, there is little more to add at this time. When more is learned, another story will be told. The end. Next up is Part 3, Chapter 5, Giant Tables and Chairs.